For those of you that are just joining in, this is part two of addiction and its connection to STIs, backed by popular demand. My name is Kaleem, and we also have what just happened to my. Oh, it's gonna do me like that. So, all right. So here's my disclaimer, folks. If it looks like I'm not paying attention, I am. I'm just looking at a much larger screen because I'm using my phone and I'm casting it. And my smart view just came onto my phone, so I don't see anything on my phone, but I see you guys up here live and in person.
Are we
So
already live?
we are.
Yes,
Oh,
We are.
okay. Where are we? Are we? What page are we on so I can share it?
mine.
Okay.
Dora's having technical difficulties. I don't know why she can't see the link.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Yes.
I think I see her trying to connect though. So for those of you that are just joining in, this is once again addiction connection to STIs. So there's okay. All right, much better. All right, so Milan, you get to go first. I have a few questions, just to kind of, get the conversation going. And I believe in these questions because, for the viewers, they may have some questions about, am I an addict? Or, I know I'm an addict, but how can I, stop this madness? So I think it's important that, we just kind of give them our experience, strength, and hope. So my first question, Milan, is how are your relationships with your families and friends now versus when you were in your active addiction? You got to unmute yourself.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yes, they're. I'm gonna be honest. They're pretty much the same. Because I've had the people that I do call my real friends. They've always been supportive of me, and through my addiction, I had a best friend, Angelica. She was like my go-to when I really realized that I was an addict and addicted to drugs. And we're all still friends. Of course, I have a few friends that I used to get high with, that are still getting high. Um, but the relationship stayed the same. You know, we respect each other. I don't judge. I just pray. So yeah, it's pretty much the same. I didn't really make any enemies or hurt anyone like that when I was addicted. Um, so yeah, it's pretty much the same far as relationship wise.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Marissa, I know you said you were at work. I can't see it was bothering me, but I do understand. No worries. I'm gonna pose a question to you actually. Um, so how many times that you can recall did you try to get clean and or sober, and which of those methods have actually proven successful for you?
So again, thank you for the invitation. And I think I went to treatment 1,000 times. I know
Mhm.
for sure I went to treatment 7 times. And I think what kind of worked the last time I went is I didn't want to get high no more. I already knew that smoking dope was what was causing all of my problems. And so I went to treatment in 2009. Um, and I just haven't found it necessary to live that life again. Now, have I struggled along the way? Because I want to be very clear in this conversation. Um, do I get high? No, but do I still struggle with the thoughts of wanting to get high? Do I still struggle um, with some of the problems I had getting high without the dope? And so I guess we'll talk about that as we go on in the conversation. But I went to treatment 1,000 times. And I think a lot of times I went to treatment, I was tired, I was hungry, I was lonely. I knew that treatment was a place that I could go refuel. I don't know that I was necessarily done using, there's a passage in the Narcotics Anonymous literature that talks about how we get ready for our next run. And so a lot of times I think I was just getting ready for my next run. And so I think when I went to treatment in 2009, I got out of prison. And I had been clean for 2.5 years while I was in prison, and I got out and used and went to treatment in 2009, and then just haven't found it necessary to live that life since 2009.
So how soon after you got out of prison did you use?
So I was out of prison I got out of prison in March of 2009, and a lot of people don't really realize that. A lot of people that, have been a part of my life didn't realize that I had just started my transition, that I had just started the work, that I had just started a lot of things back then. I think I got out in March, and I want to say that I picked up in August, and I didn't put down until January. I think I went to treatment in January of 2010. I went to treatment, and then that was just it for me. Yeah.
Well, I commend you for remembering, because I could tell you, I've been back and forth to treatment, and I mean, you had made mention about some literature and a program that I too am a part of, but we both probably know that that program is based on attraction rather than promotion. But since you brought it up, Narcotics Anonymous, they I could pave a bathroom floor with the amount of white key tags that I have from, surrendering to win. So I appreciate your journey. So but your answer to that was just you being sick and tired and not wanting to use anymore? Or what was that key? Was the key Narcotics Anonymous to helping you, stay clean? Or
I think that I knew that I had finally made the connection. I had been going back to prison my entire life, but I hadn't made the connection between drugs and prison. I just thought that I was running with the wrong girls. I thought I was going to the wrong store because I was a booster. So I thought I was going to the wrong stores. I had no thought that after I had boosted all day and smoked up everything that I had stole that day and had to start all over the next day, that I was connecting into dope. So I just think that I got tired of going to prison. I got tired of hurting my family. And I think that was when I really took an honest look and wanted to make some changes. So yeah.
Gotcha. And I can appreciate and identify with that. All right, Regina, I got a question for you. So what was that aha moment that led you to your truth about being an addict? And could you give our virtual audience an example of you may be an addict if you got to mute yourself?
My aha moment of realizing that I was an addict is I started becoming, I guess I was a little delusional about the fact of my addiction, because I thought, I was fabulous and I'm just, I thought I was just, I'm twirling and I'm doing my thing, I'm hustling, but my relationships started dwindling. My relationships with other people started dwindling really badly. Because my extended family have a real close-knit relationship where we always did stuff together. And all of a sudden I start missing events because I'm high or I'm hungover, I'm drunk, or I'm laid around. And so that was one of the things that started resonating with me, that, girl, you got a problem, because it started becoming very familiar, very frequent. And so I got to a point to where things was, it came down like a tornado. The revelation of me being an addict came down like a tornado when I started losing apartments, when I had to move, when I started lacking on my bills, and when I started just doing irresponsible stuff. I started doing really, really irresponsible stuff. And so it was at those points that it really let me know that I had lost it, you know, and I owned it. One thing that I always have done is own it. And I still struggle to this day. And I'm not one of those people who go around saying, oh, I slipped, or I fell, or I had a boo-boo, or I had a mistake. I'm one of those people that when I got clean, I cleaned it up and I did it on my own, you know. And I wasn't bragging, oh, I don't do drugs no more, oh, I don't, you know, I wasn't a bragger. I just appreciated my sobriety. To this day, it's a struggle. To this day, I fight. To this day, I slip and make mistakes. But to this day, I am determined to kill that demon. You know, to this day, I am determined to kill that demon, and I still fight and I still move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, I can appreciate the value of what you just said because I fight daily. And I think that an addict, it takes an addict to know an addict. And one of the things about being an addict is, oh, we can judge and we can be messy and we can, you know, point the finger and we can say you did this, but you know, we forget about what we did and what we struggle with. You know what I'm saying? And we also forget that we're a lot closer to our next high than we are from our last one. You know, so I try to remember that within myself because, you know, social acceptability does not equal recovery for one. So just because I'm clean and I've got a new car and I've got a house and I've got this and I've got that, and the inside, I can be an empty shell. You know, I can be an empty shell. So it's not about falling down. It's about getting back up and trying again. You know what I'm saying? So and I struggle. I still struggle with, I'm coming up on 4 years, actually, November the 10th, you know, and I never want to forget my last one because that's when I'm doomed to repeat it. So, and I'm glad that you brought that up because there's addicts out there that are staying clean and getting clean and slipping, you know, and keeping it to themselves and or sharing it with somebody and them using it against them, you know. But the shame isn't in falling, it's in staying down. And for as long as I live, I will die an addict, but I don't have to die from my disease of addiction, you know. So that's how I take it, and I thank you for sharing that. All right. So we got Marissa in the building. I've asked you. I've got Milan. I wait. Who? We still missing. All right. So I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Regina.
Dora said she was downloading something. I don't know exactly what it is that she's downloading.
Probably downloading Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to play a little game with y'all if y'all don't mind. And my disclaimer for this game is I try not to take myself too seriously, you know, because if I'm not careful, I can be my own worst enemy, my own worst critic. So I laugh at my disease of addiction now, and I laugh at some of the things that I've done. And I just wanted to shed a little light onto, you know, the situation and just kind of lighten the mood. So I want to play a game called You May Be an Addict If. And I'm going to start off by saying you may be an addict if, and I just want each of you to tell me something that may have been personal but may not have been personal, something that you've seen that was funny. I'll start. And this is personal. This is something that I actually did. You may be an addict if the only time you ate out there was when a person actually bought you food that you were standing around panhandling for, and even then you running up Park Street with a box of Publix chicken wings trying to get it to the dope man while they still hot. True story. So I just try to laugh at myself, because if I'm not careful, those things will create a depression within me. They'll create just feelings that I just don't want to feel, and the wonderful thing about being in recovery is that we feel our feelings today, so do you guys have any things that you may have done in the course of your addiction that you might laugh at yourself about, or you've laughed at somebody else that was in the midst of their addiction and they've decided to, or they've made their way out? I'm going to start with you, Milan, your pretty self.
I'm going to say you may be an addict if you get high and you always defending the fact that you're not an addict.
Boom. Boom.
And that was for me because it took me a minute to realize that I was addicted to coke. I really realized I was addicted to coke when I couldn't even. I was a sex worker when I couldn't even go work without getting a bag. That's when I really realized. I was like, okay, it's not a club thing. Like I was trying to, we try to manipulate our own selves to make us think we don't have a problem. So like for me, it was, I just get high when I go to the club. But when I realized that I was getting high every day and getting a baggie just to go to the store or anything, that's when I realized like, oh, bitch, you got a problem.
Right. Okay, so I've changed the format a little bit because I'm realizing as I'm sitting here that what I intended to be a game might actually be something to save somebody's life. So I'm gonna continue the same question, but I want your something to touch somebody that may be an addict and not realize it like we were, like that we didn't. So I'm gonna pose that to you, Marissa. You may be an addict if.
You may be an addict if every time you make a plan, it's not successful. You may be an addict every time you have some money and you say that you're not going to get high and you get high with it. You may be an addict when you get one and you say, I'm just going to get one, and you can't stop getting that one. You might be an addict if you take all of your money and you spend it on the dope and don't pay none of your bills. You might be an addict if, like, I'm an addict without the dope. So, I mean, it's just real different for me because I'm real, like, compulsive and obsessive. Once I start some shit, you know what I mean? I don't know how to stop it. And then once I get a thought inside of my head, if I don't process it correctly, then it always goes wrong. And so it's just real different and it's just real personal. But I will say this, that we can be addicts without the dope. I don't think that you necessarily got to have the dope to have a dope mind frame or to have dope behavior. Just because we put the dope down don't mean we stop being dope fiends. Because
Come
some
on
of us
now.
can be dope fiends without the dope. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
Absolutely. Like, it's funny you say that because I'm realizing after doing some work on myself that I was an addict well before I took my first drug, so definitely, I appreciate you for that. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Milan, hello. How are you? I just like saying your name. It's your birthday, so I'm going to shout you out. Hey, Regina,
Yes,
you might be an addict if.
you might be an addict if you can't admit that you struggle with addiction. You might be an addict if you wake up in the morning and you don't have money to eat breakfast, or you don't have breakfast in your refrigerator. You might be an addict if you might be an addict if you are paid on Friday and broke on Saturday. You might be an addict if it gets to a point that you're totally disillusioned to your drug addiction, as far as you're doing drugs and you're doing it constantly without even realizing that you've lost yourself.
Right.
And you've just lost your entire self in the drugs. So
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, hello, Dora. How nice of you to join us. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute. Okay, it was a struggle, but I'm here. I was panicking. I was like, I got to download this. She didn't tell me I have to download this and all that kind of stuff. But I'm here. How you guys doing tonight?
We are. I am okay. I am okay. First of all, go ahead and give Milan her birthday shout out because it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Mulan. We love you. And it's a blessing to get a day older. And I am happy that one of our sisters sees another birthday.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, since you all late and stuff, it's your turn.
Okay.
Okay. So, we were just talking, and I'm actually going to start from what we were just saying, like you may be an addict if we were just given some scenarios, um like as an example, like you may be an addict if you go to, like, if you get paid on Friday but Saturday morning you're broke. Okay, so I'm going to pose the same question to you. You may be an addict if.
You may be an addict if you love drugs more than you love yourself.
Ooh,
Because
absolutely.
you begin to neglect yourself. You begin to neglect for the drugs. You begin to neglect getting your nails did, getting your hair did, and all the kind of stuff that you love. Because that's basically what drugs do. It gets you to love it and stop loving yourself. And if it can't, and it starts, that's when it starts doing you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, okay, Johnny on the spot. Okay. um I do want to ask you another question.
Mhm.
So, how many times that you can recall did you try to get clean? So to try, I'm sorry. How many times did you try to get clean or sober throughout the course of your addiction? And which method seems to work for you or seems to keep you clean the longest when you actually wholeheartedly try?
Well, how many times I've tried? 1,000,001. What I find out works for me is separation. Separation from people, separation from things that could cause triggers, separation from the same old lifestyle, because you have to change, you have to do a complete lifestyle change to, to
Hmm.
if you're gonna walk into a different lifestyle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Milana, you signed on twice?
Yeah, because
Cause yeah, it's her birthday.
no, because I'm on my laptop and I can't see anyone on my laptop but myself, so I have my phone so I can see everyone.
Oh man, she got the floor model TV on the floor and the little TV with the.
I wanted to say, add something to the you're an addict if
Okay.
I had a message that came in. You might be an addict if you lose your job and you call corporate sponsors of that job to ask for money for assistance. You might be an addict.
Oh, a smart
But
addict.
I also want to say that even without the use of drugs, sometimes I wake up with no money the next day. And without the use of drugs, sometimes I struggle to pay my rent. And without the use of drugs, I just want to say that it's not always about, for me, it wasn't always about a financial contribution because I was a hustler. So I was able to make 1 + 1 = 2. I just wasn't able to keep the two, but I was able to make 1 + 1 = 2. So it was more like I think I think as we go forward, it'll reveal itself a little bit more. Let's keep going.
Okay, so I hear you. So, the addiction is more or less behavior as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, monetary means. Because I mean, I agree. I agree because if you're an addict, you got to be a hustler. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something to motivate you, period. You know, it's just what do we neglect? You know what I'm saying? I think that's the
So,
avenue we were trying to hit at. A lot of things we neglect monetarily because all of our money, at least for me, most of my money, all of my money went to
mhm.
drugs. Like I said, the only time I ate was when I was out there panhandling, and I tell somebody I'm hungry, and they actually buy me food. Ooh, that used to make me mad. You know, but I mean, I'm just talking about an addict named Colleen. But absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Milan, your turn. You ready? All right. So, and don't forget to unmute yourself. In our addiction, we have caused many people harm, but most of all, we've harmed ourselves. In your opinion, is it more important for others to forgive you for your faults or your wrongdoings, or for you to forgive yourself? And which one of these should actually come first?
I think forgiving yourself should come first.
Mhm.
Because if you haven't forgiven yourself for anything, how can you even care if anyone else has forgiven you? You
Mhm.
know. So I mean, I took responsibility for myself, and that's just how it goes. It's you, just like you are responsible for you first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is it important for others to forgive you personally?
Personally, it would be nice if I've hurt anyone, but again, I think if I've forgiven myself, that's all that really matters in order for me to move forward. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna if someone doesn't forgive me, I'm not gonna hold my breath for anything on that because that might send me back to a dark place. So I
Absolutely.
think it's just all about your forgiving yourself, and if someone else can't forgive you, as long as you're forgiving yourself, I think that's all that matters, just personally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Melissa, I'm interested to know your take on that. Do you need me to pose that question again, Marissa?
Yeah, I got it. So I was clean 8 years, total abstinence for 8 years. Um, and I wanted to be clear that I am not a non-user. I don't use certain substances anymore, but I am not speaking from a place of complete abstinence. I was clean for 8 years. I moved to Chicago. I had a drink after 8 years. Why I had a drink after 8 years, I can't even begin to tell you. But what has worked for me is, and this might sound really strange, I am still very connected to the fellowship that I once belonged to. I am very connected to the people that were a part of the fellowship. And so I think it's really important that I work on me first. Because until I work on me, I can't really be productive for anybody else. And so I agree with Milan. Now, the fellowship that I belong to got me to a fourth step where I had to put some stuff down that what I had done, my inventory. And it wasn't until my fifth and sixth step that I needed to make some retribution, or I needed to make some resolution. In my fourth step, all I had to do was put it down on paper, everything that I had done. So it's important because that's part of the forgiveness process. I believe it was part of the forgiveness process for me, just getting all that stuff that I had done to people, all those times I had touched your stuff when it wasn't yours, all those times I had stole from the store. See, I had to do a corporate forgiveness to all of the stores that I had took stuff from because I wasn't going to be able to pay them back. I wasn't going to be able to give them everything that I had took from them. So part of my fifth and sixth step was doing things for people and giving back to the community and putting myself in some different positions. So I think it's one important that I do forgive myself in order so if I don't forgive myself, I can't forgive you, or I can't look for forgiveness from other people. And this shit that I was out there, there's gonna be no forgiveness from, no absolution from. I done it. It's over with. I served the time for it. And some of it will just be that's where the resolution comes from in different ways. But I definitely think that forgiveness on both ends, it works. I don't think that you have to be forgiven by anybody in order to live this life. But I think it's definitely part of recovery. Because see, recovery for me was about an active change in ideas, attitudes, and behavior. And even today, you know, I have to still be very careful about who, like my sister just joined us, talked about you got to get a whole new group of individuals. You got to leave all that other stuff alone in order to survive. And so I just find myself in more of harm reduction mode these last few years, more harm reduction, knowing where to be and where not to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Regina, same question for you. In our addiction, we have caused people harm, but most of all, we've harmed ourselves. In your opinion, is it more important for others to forgive you and you're off, or is it more for you to forgive yourself? And which one of them should come first? I can't hear you.
Okay. I've learned through life, through different challenges, through different stages of my life, that it's more important that I forgive myself. Because one thing about you is you have to live with you. You have to lay down with you. When you go home with you. Even if you have roommates, when you go in your room, it's you. You know, you're alone. And you struggle from within. And if you don't love yourself, forgive yourself, and face yourself first and foremost, then you'll always be sort of lost in the sauce. As far as things that I've done to others, that's going to be second. That would be second in my book, you know, because I can't tell you, oh, I'm sorry, and I didn't mean to do this or that, because it's not going to be real until I have made things right within myself and within my, you know, on my insides. So it would be me first. Second, it would be them. And I'm not big on worrying about how you feel afterwards. Once I make that connection and let you know, hey, I apologize, I'm not going to kiss your behind to get your acceptance. I'm not going to allow you to make me feel less than now that I'm apologizing or telling you something. And so that's one of the main reasons why, if I've ever slipped, I've always kept that to myself. I've healed within myself and I move forward. Now, if I have ever dwindled out of control, that's a whole different ballgame. If I dwindle out of control, I know I need help because I've been down that road before. So then, and only then, am I gonna start reaching out? Hey, I need help. You know, somebody help me. But it's like crossing the street. We all know we've been crossing the street since we were children. You might cross the street one day and fall. I don't have to call Milan and say, girl, I crossed the street today and I fell. I may not want Milan to know that. I was weak that day and I fell. But guess what? I'm gonna get up tomorrow morning and I'm gonna cross that street and I'm not gonna fall because that's where I am with my recovery. I know that I don't want to go back down those roads. I know that I don't want my life to dwindle out of control again. I know that I don't want my family to see me struggling and in rehabs and, you know, going from A to B. That's the one thing in my addiction that I thank God that my family was never there to witness. That's one thing I do thank God for. They weren't there to witness it. And they are the most important thing to me. And they're my extended family, of course. But I feel that it's first and foremost important for you to handle your issues and to handle your forgiveness with yourself. That's first and foremost. Period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you bring up an interesting point. Now, when you talk about like your family, how was your relationship with them? How, like the first question, how were your relationships with your family and friends versus when you were in active addiction for you personally?
For me, my family never was around that. All they knew was I had problems with the legalities, with the way I lived my life when I was an addict, because I was also a stunt queen. So I did, the illegal things to achieve my money. So I would get in trouble for stuff like that. Now, that's one thing that they went through. But they never went through the addiction stuff. They never went through that because I've never had them involved in that. So that's a part of me that they don't even know. They don't even know that person. So it's unfortunate that my extended family knows that person because my extended family have actually been through the fire with me. My extended family. And that's why you'll always see me giving homage to my family. You'll always, because my gay mother, when I tell you, it makes me emotional sometimes because people think she is just this hard person. They think she is just so difficult. But she was there. She let me into her home. She fed me. She nursed me back to health. And when I messed up, she didn't play with me. But this is the same mother that still opened her doors. She still welcomed me in. She still did everything for me that an actual mother would do for her child. So, it's unfortunate that they had to see me go through my addiction. But that's one of the main reasons that I fight so hard to keep myself on track, And that's another reason why, I don't, it goes back to what I was saying about crossing the road and falling and slipping. People slip, but it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. And you know that you don't want to let those people down. So you get back up with the strength of Goliath and you push through. As my sister Marissa tells me daily, push sis, push. She tells me every single morning, and nobody would tell me anything negative about my sister. Because my sister is one of the main reasons I continue to push. I push, because this year has been rough for me. The deaths that I've had to deal with have been people that have been close to me all my life. And so it has been a downward spiral for my emotions. It's been bad, but I've had to push. I've had to keep pushing.
And
I tell my sister.
Can I say something just really quickly? How Natalia said that, when we get in the middle of the street and we fall and we get back up and we don't say something, I want to challenge us to create a culture that I can tell you that I fail. I want to create a culture that, I've always learned that my secrets keep me sick. That when I don't share those moments that I'm most vulnerable. See, what you do with what I tell you, once I tell you what happened, that's on you. If you take the mess that I'm trying to get up out of or that I'm sharing myself out of and you try to use it and weaponize it against people. See, a lot of people ain't gonna never come to us that want to get help. It's because it's always a key in our community. All the girls look at the girls' nose, the girls that's in the club sweating, look at the girl, it's always that sort of a mockery. So people don't feel safe. But we have to create a community where, and that's why I share so openly about, my struggles with addiction, and I share so openly about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you choose to judge me by the ugly and not judge me by the good, who are you to judge me anyway? That's like one. And I think that we have to create a culture where secrecy, because secrecy is killing people. People not having outlets to be able to share that they are hurting, okay, I got high last night, but I'm back on track. I should be able to share that with my sisters or with my network and feel comfortable enough to know it's not going to be, because people that really are involved in recovery, they're there to kind of help you. And one of my girlfriends, she died. Her name was Janice. Janice used to say, honesty is the antidote to our disease thinking. If I can't be honest and tell you where I'm at, then the disease is won, because the disease wants to keep me in shame, and the disease wants to keep me in secrecy and stuff like that. So that's I wanted to share at that point. Thank you for sharing that, Natalia.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you, Marissa.
Now, yeah, thank you. Now, I agree with you. I agree with you 110%, but I am going to play the devil's advocate here with this one, with you, Marissa. Now, but I do agree with you, and I would love to see that atmosphere and that community created amongst um, amongst peers in general. You know, different groups of peers. Now, but the thing about it is it goes past being judged. You know, if the worst thing that somebody could do to you was judge you because of a slip, then that's okay. Then you get over it, and you know that's something that the majority of people can deal with. But when you have things that can be lost, or things that you are working toward that can literally be destroyed because of a slip or something like that, at what point is it okay to practice anonymity? Me personally, I don't have any anonymity. Like, I am an open book, because like I said, I agree with you. Our secrets definitely keep us sick. But at what point is it okay to practice anonymity? And where do you draw the line between me not saying anything because I'm embarrassed or ashamed, or me not saying anything because I'm afraid of what I'm going to lose that I've been working toward?
So there was it. So when I was a active member of a particular fellowship, and I had relapsed, and I was in the working field. Now, this is just my story, and this ain't gonna be everybody's story. I had my addiction was to the point where it was beginning to bleed on the community, where I took some money out of one of the girls' purses from Ryan White that I was working with, where I had let one of the members, one of the newer members, come live with me, and we were scamming, and just, it was beginning to bleed. Now, when it was time for me to get myself together, I just had forgiveness from the community. It was one of those moments that either you're gonna live or you're gonna die. And in order for me to live, I had to tell the truth in order for me to live in that moment. Now, I might have lost my career, because this was the beginning of my career. I might have lost my career, but I didn't lose my career. The people that I went to at that particular time, and I'm not saying that always happens, because you do need those places of anonymity, and that's what sponsorship is about. And that's what those people that, because listen, did I tell everybody in the fellowship about all of the things I'd done while I was in addiction? No. I had a sponsor to process some of those things that were more personal, some of those things that others might have looked at as being something that, because some of the things I did in recovery, in active addiction, was illegal. So I couldn't tell everybody everything I did, some of the things I didn't get caught for. So I think there is a point of anonymity, and I think that you have to allow that not to weaponize you, though. You have to allow your secrets, or you have to allow your anonymity not to keep you sick, or not to get you in a point that you can't be free. See, you'll never be able to tell anything about me, because I'm going to tell you everything. I'm HIV positive. I smoked dope. I went to prison, and I still struggle with life. So whatever you say outside of that, I already covered it. So when you get ready to go talk to somebody, they're saying, well, what you talking about? Marissa already told us that. So you have to be careful not to allow certain things. And some of them are fuck ups, and some of them are slip ups. And I want us to call them, because see, if you're not, one of the things my sponsor used to always tell me, if I ain't doing no work, I ain't in recovery. So you didn't relapse, you just used.
You just use.
So if you wasn't doing no work to change, because change is what we try to work toward. But yeah, I think that you have to choose your moments of anonymity, and I think you definitely have to have a network to share when you're hurting. Because one thing that happens to us as Black LGBT leaders, especially as Black trans women, we suffer in pain. You don't know how many times I might have wanted to call somebody, to say, well, sis, this is what I'm going through. But I had to, just as you said, choose anonymity in that moment because I was so worried about what was going to happen after I shared it, or what was going to happen, once I shared it to her and what she was going to do with it. And so now what I've learned to do is not worry about what you do with the trash I take out. The trash I take out, if you want to go through my trash, once I take it out, you go right ahead. But I'm not going to keep my trash in my house just so that you don't go through. I'm going to put it out there, and if you go through it, then that's what you're going to do. And if you find, ways to weaponize, and that's why people stay stuck in addiction so long, I believe, from the LGBT community specifically, because we were already ostracized by our families. And then we come into this second group, because I know when I first started going to rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I had blonde hair and black fingernails, but I hadn't even transitioned yet. And so, I came in there with hair, with titties, with no titties, with body, with no body. And each time I came in there, that was the only place that I came that somebody said, keep coming back. That was the only place somebody said, oh, you look good today. Now, did I feel separation because of who I was? Yeah, but I had to learn to live in myself. And that's when we were talking about loving ourselves before somebody else can love us and forgiving ourselves before somebody else can forgive us. So it's just a different journey, I think, for different people. But definitely, you can't keep me hostage with my trash that I took out in the fourth step. You do what you want to do with it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Marissa. I love your knowledge. I love what you bring to this panel, like, truly. And we are about to wrap things up. But I did want to take the opportunity to tell you ladies that I'm honored and privileged to sit amongst you and to get awareness from you, because awareness is key to understanding. And I just really appreciate you guys for accepting me into your world and getting to learn you better and know you better. And I appreciate your transparency as well to help the next person that is following or wants to follow in your footsteps, the positive footsteps that they see, that and know your struggles as well, to let them know that they're not alone. I appreciate the value of that. As I said, we are about to wrap things up, but I did want to pose one more question to all
Hold
of
on.
you.
We do have 15 more minutes. We have to 8:15.
Oh, okay.
And if, go ahead with what you were going to do. If we have people in the audience that want to ask questions, let's answer those questions. If we have people I can actually see on my end, I know everybody else may have shared on their end. So if you see questions that we need to answer, go ahead and let us know. Go ahead, Colleen.
Okay, 15 minutes. Y'all might as well told me I had another 45. Look. I can't see any of the comments because I'm not hybrid right now. So if you guys see some comments and you see something that sticks out, please by all means read that comment out loud, and then we can expound on that or answer those. So I did want to go ahead and ask the question, and let's start with you, Dora.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, excuse me. Tell me one thing that you would tell someone at any age that is out there still struggling in the grips of their addiction and are looking for a way out. Tell me something, anything that you would tell somebody.
What I would say to a person still struggling is knowing that you can't do it alone. It takes God and it takes a strong, changed mind. And it also takes putting yourself around people that believe that you're better than what you are, the state that you're in. And sometimes that's hard to find. And sometimes you won't even find a group, You got to believe in yourself. You got to know that, like, if nobody don't see that I'm trying for me, And it all goes into the basics of what I always say about recovery and addiction and doing this and that is about your self-worth, knowing who you are, know how valuable you are to people, and loving yourself, and just do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're gonna make me cry. Absolutely.
Yes, she was going to make me cry. So,
I'm telling you. Hey, Milan, one time for the birthday chick. Tell me one thing that you would tell somebody that's out there still struggling in the grips of their addiction and are looking for a way out. Don't forget to unmute yourself. Oh, okay.
Um, I would use myself as an example, and I would just let them know that it is going to happen when they are ready for it to happen. Um, Because for me, I had, like I said, I had my support system. I had my friend Angelica, and I can recall so many times that I would pick up the phone and call her and be like, "Girl, I am a cokehead," like crying and everything, and she would sit there and listen to me like, "What you gonna do about it?" And I tell her I'm gonna stop, but then the next night I'm partying again, and calling her again. So I was looking into the future, knowing that I was going to be ready to stop soon, but I really wasn't ready to stop. So I would just
Mhm.
tell them to when they are truly ready to stop, it will stop if they seek help when they're really ready. I'll tell them don't go just because someone offers it to you, rehab or anything like that. Only go when you're truly ready, because if you're not truly ready to give it up, it's not going to happen. Anything's going to trigger you. You have to truly be ready within yourself before you can stop. So I'll just tell them it's coming when you're ready for it.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Hey, Regina, what would you tell somebody that's struggling in the grips of their addiction and one out? Mute.
If I'm talking to someone who is struggling with addiction, and I feel like that's a very sensitive matter. And so I'm going to be as transparent with them as possible. That is the person that I will reveal, my slip ups to. That is the person that I would, because of the simple fact they need to know that it's human to slip.
Absolutely.
It's human to make a mistake. Um, it is so imperative when someone is at their weakest point to uplift them in every way possible. When you walk away from somebody who is at a weak point, it shows your character.
Yeah.
It shows your character, and that means everything to me, to see a person for who they are. And when I see you for who you are, you never, ever have to worry about me again. But it's
Hmm.
just the point of, it's so important to be transparent with people who are still in the struggle, because I tell them, baby, we're in the struggle together. We're in the struggle together. And that was a conversation I had with my daughter earlier, Dora. We had that conversation earlier, and I just wanted her to know I got your back. You know, I know the struggle because I'm caught up in it. So I would never just give up, because see, you can't be what you call it. I feel like it's kind of I can't even think of what I'm trying to say, but what I mean is, period. We all are human. Humans make errors. So how can I look at my child, someone that I call my child, if I say this is my daughter, and condemn her and hang her up on a cross for some of the very same reasons I fight every day when I get up in the morning and leave my house? You see what I'm saying? So therefore, I have to be sensitive to everybody's addiction and their struggles, because their struggles are their own. And we all have to deal with our own struggles in our own way. Now we can give you advice, and we need to take different channels sometimes. And Marissa has definitely brought me together tonight in a lot of ways, and that's why I wanted her on this panel, because I know I needed that. But I just want her to know I'm here, struggling right beside her and going through those same struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And let's fight together instead of making a person feel less than about their struggle.
Right.
They're fine. And this is coming from somebody who's done it before. And I know it doesn't feel good because it was done to me. So,
well said. Very well said. So, actually, you know what? I want to answer that question, and then I would like for you to close that question out, Marissa, because I can hear the recovery in your demeanor, well, in what you say, and I can feel the spirit of recovery within you. So I would like you to close us out with that. But um, one thing that I would say to a person that's in the midst of their addiction and they want out is is I would tell them something very simple, that you don't ever have to get high ever again, even when you want to. You really don't have to. Because I know for me as an addict, I felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like every time I felt like I couldn't have fun unless I had some dough. I felt like I couldn't do anything. If I was supposed to go do something, it was all right. Well, let me take a hit real quick. Then I'm gonna go ahead. Let me get my mind right real quick. Then I'm gonna go handle it real quick. And everything was one more. You know what I'm saying? Everything was one more. All right, let me do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna handle what I gotta handle. And everything. It got to the point where I had to do another hit before I did another hit. You know what I mean? Let me do a hit before I do a hit. Like it was ridiculous. So it was like I had to learn that I don't have to get high. Like I don't have to, even when I want to, not if I want to, but when I want to. Because the most abnormal state for an addict to be in is clean, first of all. So the thought for me to want to use is going to come up. And I would tell them, if somebody tells you that you got high because you wanted to, you can believe that if you want to, but for me, I didn't get high because I wanted to, because I've experienced using against my own will. I've cracked pipes with tears, crying at the same time as I was using because I didn't want to anymore, because I was tired of using. So I didn't get high because I wanted to. So I would just tell them that, you don't ever have to get high again, even when you want to. You don't have to.
Mm-mm.
Um, hey Milan, did you answer that question? You answered it first, didn't you? Okay. All right. Miss Marissa, Madam Marissa.
So listen, I'm going to say this, that one is too many and a thousand's never enough. And that if I don't pick it up, I don't have to put it down. And so, and I think I would tell a person like, keep trying. No matter what, just keep trying. Even if you said you're not gonna get high no more and you get high and you want to start over as many times as you want to start over, and don't let anybody determine when you have the ability to recover or when you have the ability to stop. And when you get to whatever level of recovery that you are at, don't let anybody tear down or demean those levels of progress that you make, because it's hard. It's hard to change people, places, and things. Sometimes it's hard to come out of apartment buildings and step over people when you're going upstairs that's selling the dope. Sometimes it's hard to get off of the bus and the dope boy is standing right there. Sometimes it's hard to walk past the trade and our mind tells us the things that it tells us. It's real hard. And it's not easy, when this has become practice, because I don't think none of us started out, with this desperation of, one is too many and not being able to stop. I think that we worked our way to this desperation. So I think like we didn't become addicts overnight. And so we won't become. And I think that we also, I think I also would tell a person, you don't have to be perfect to be in this process, and just be there for them each and every time. Like Natalia said, I mean, Mulan said, every time she called her friend, she was like, I don't want to be a cokehead no more. Her friend listened to her and told her she didn't have to be a cokehead. And then even if she called the next day, her friend still answered the phone. So what I'm gonna tell a person is, I'm still gonna answer the phone. I'm still gonna answer my messages, and I'm still there because all we got is today. Today I didn't get high. Today I didn't smoke no dope. Today was a good day. I didn't smoke no dope. You know what I'm saying? And if I do some of the things that I did today and add some things tomorrow, then I might not smoke no dope tomorrow. But just for today, I made it through today. So if you made it through today and you didn't do nothing or did nothing take you to a place of desperation, then I celebrate you. And we have to be able to celebrate those moments of sanity. Because insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. When we do it and we say, well, it's going to be different this time, well, it might be different with different people, but in the end, the pain is still the same and the desperation is still the same. So I just tell a person, never, ever, ever give up, because you can't reach a point of freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. So I did want to real quick answer a question that you all already answered. How are your relationships with family and friends now versus when you were in active addiction? Because so I've been through some changes with my family to the point where my mama used to have to cook dinner with her pocketbook on her arm because I got that good at stealing from her, to get high. And like literally, I remember her telling me how I ended up in Florida is my mother said to me one day, listen, if you're gonna kill yourself, go somewhere else and do it. Don't let me sit here and watch you be your own demise. My brothers, it got one time my brother actually asked me, he said, Kaleem, because I got so small from using, he said, Kaleem, are you sick? Because I was this big and I went from house to house to house, and it got to the point where my grandmother wouldn't let me in her house. My aunt, there was a camera missing one day, one of them 35 millimeter cameras back in the day that you used to have the spring load. It went missing, and my aunt didn't talk to me for 6 months because she just knew I took it, but she found it up underneath her couch, you know, and she didn't apologize because that was my nature. So it was like, oh, well, I found it, but I mean, ain't no telling what you done stole. So, she didn't, she ain't lose no sleep over it. Oh, well, I found it. Yeah, 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 whatever. But I, I, fast forwarding, I'm entrusted over my mother's estate when she passes. Like I'm her power of attorney now. I, I, Kaleem, have keys to her home. I'm all the way in Florida. She's in New Jersey, but my family calls and they check on me. They loan me money. I loan them money. They call me for advice or suggestions. You know what I mean? So I wanted to share that to say that our families recover too if we give them the capacity to do so. you know and it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, how many times did we look our family members in the eye and say, I'm sorry, it won't happen again? They don't understand that when we said that shit, we meant it. They don't understand the disease of addiction. So just like Marissa said, we didn't become addicted in one day. We're not going to heal all of the hurts and harms that we've created in one day. But you keep pushing, and our families do recover, believe it or not, they do recover. And I just wanted to share that hope with you guys that I'm a prime example of my family recovering from the damage that I've caused. So there is still hope, and you keep that hope alive. So it looks like we have one more minute. I do want to just say thank you all again for tuning in. Those of you that tuned in, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Regina in case she has any last minute announcements. But once again, thank you guys for letting me be a part.
I just want to say thank you so much for each of you for coming on tonight. Milan, one of my dear sisters, and I want to let you know, Unspoken Treasure will be sponsoring your lunch this week, whichever day you like, and whatever you like to eat. We will be sponsoring your meal for your birthday. Marissa, we love you. I am so, you are my big sister that I always have needed in my life because you are always so on time. You always say what needs to be said, and you always say it in a way that's real. It's not covered up, it's not touched up or made up, it's right on point. And I admire and adore you for that. I appreciate you all. My daughter, Dora, I appreciate her. She battles, and I'm battling right with her. And she know I'm gonna kick her ass if she don't stick in there with it. She know.
I came a long way.
I appreciate you all, and I know that there are people out there who need us, regardless of our struggles, regardless of where we're at in our struggles. There are people out there who need us, and that's why I love the fact that we started this for the march, but I want us to continue this because it's needed. It's really needed. You know, it's people who don't have the nerve or the desire to stop that may look at this and say, hey, these people are real though. They're exposing their real lives. They're exposing what's really, really going on. And that may make them comfortable, you know, to lean towards us, to help them. You know what I'm saying? And with us, we're recovering addicts, period. And I think people get that twisted sometimes because a recovering addict is not perfect. They're not, you know, that you still are an addict that's recovering. And so someone who doesn't understand that, come on, so we can break it down for you. We can break it down for you. And we'll be back next month for our next round because I love it and I think it's needed in our community. It's going to be beautiful and we're going to get better because we'll be on time. We'll know where we're at next week because I'm going to do all the preliminary stuff starting Monday. So next month we'll be on point. I love you guys. And does anybody else want to say anything? I want everybody to say something before we leave. So I'm going to put my phone on mute and whoever wants to go on next, go ahead and say your goodbyes and say what you want.
I would like
my goodbyes.
to say I'm honored to be with these group of women. I am new. Like, the struggle is real, but you can do it. Once you start believing in yourself, you can do it. Because, like, people won't believe I was just 3 months ago. Like, I'm ashamed of that person. I made up in my mind that, you know, I got this.
We can't hear you, daughter. We can't hear you.
And the tide was going to be here.
Well, I'll say my goodbye. I'll say that I think there are some wonderful people out there, and I'm going to throw their names out there. Caprice Carthens out of Chicago, Monroe out of DC, Savannah Wanzer out of DC, and several other people that are that are living a life, a different life without the use of drugs. And so or even, you know, as Natalia said, there are still moments of where we can help people. You never know where your help can come from. So never cut off where you think that your help would come from. If you can't use something that you got today, put it on the shelf because you might be able to use it the next time. And so that's what I say, and stay encouraged because I don't do this perfect at all. You know, I just know that I have to keep trying. I have to keep trying. I have to wake up and I have to tell myself that I'm worthy. So I encourage each of you to wake up and tell yourselves that you are worthy and to start your day. And if you don't get high, if you didn't get high today, don't worry about yesterday. You could have got wasted yesterday. But if you didn't get high today, then you got a day clean, and we celebrate that day that you have clean today.
Milan?
I just say never let your past dictate your future, you know, and sometimes is God wants you to go through something in order to help the next person that's coming behind you. I really feel that everything I went through got me prepared for my work today. So just never let your past dictate your future.
Good stuff. And I'll say that we all have our journey, we all have our struggle, we all have what we're supposed to go through to get to where we need to be. So don't ever discredit your process. Don't lose faith in your process. Just trust your process. Trust your process with the mindset of wanting to do better. A dream without footwork is a fantasy. So don't sit there and say you want to get clean and don't do nothing for it. Don't say you want to get clean and go around to the same house that you usually go to when you know they're going to be using. If you say you want to get clean, put some footwork in. Don't go to that house that you know they're using. Go walk yourself to the store. Go do something with yourself. You know, a dream without footwork is fantasy. And once again, you don't ever have to get high again, even when you want to. You don't have to. And stay encouraged.